that's some heroism right there, as far as I'm concerned, because their lives were in danger by that fire too.
Yeah, they were, Linda. That is a great story there to highlight. Thank you for our Tampa connection on this Wednesday. I think we'll see you tomorrow.
You'll definitely see me tomorrow.
All right, Linda, thank you. All right, we will continue on with more Florida Live right after this break. We've got a busy show for you. It is changing as we speak because some of our interviews that we've had lined up have been shifting just because of the natures of their schedule and the votes happening right now on the House floor. So stick with us and we'll be back with some more Florida Live in just a couple of minutes. Four o'clock on your Wednesday afternoon, and thank you for joining us for Fox 35 News Plus. We'll start with a live look from the Hard Rock Hotel, Daytona Beach. You'll see that there are some people out there enjoying their time on the sand. The sun is starting to go away, and you'll see some clouds, and it almost looks like a little bit of rain in the distance. Now, we are following a couple of big stories that we want to keep you in the know because they are stories that we have been tracking the entire afternoon. On the left side of your screen, that is a camera that is outside the Lower Manhattan Federal Courthouse because we are waiting on Sean Diddy Combs' legal team to come out and speak with reporters after the jury delivered its verdict today, and that was guilty on 2 counts, not guilty on 3, and not guilty on 3, or the not guilty decision on 3 of those counts were the most serious counts. So he was acquitted of those counts. We'll have much more on that coming up here very shortly on the Top 4 at 4. On the right side of your screen, that is a live look at the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives. Right now, they are not voting at the moment, but they are perhaps voting soon on the president's spending bill, which passed the Senate yesterday. The vice president cast the tie-breaking vote. So, with all of that being said, thank you for joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus here at 4 o'clock as we lead you into the Fox 35 News at 5. Manny Martinez here with you. Garrett Weimer has the week off. We'll start off our week with what we normally do at this hour, and that is the Top 4 at 4. There is a look at a quad box of our top 4 stories that we'll be talking about here in the first block. And that being said, why don't I go ahead and introduce Fox 35's Marlisa Goldsmith. Marlisa, how are you doing on this Wednesday now?
You know, Manny, it has been a day. There's a lot happening, as you know. I try not to transfer any nervous energy or, panicked energy, if you will. But the newsroom is bustling.
That's right. And you know what? We kind of had that. We faced that in our 2 o'clock hour today, where we had to juggle some things because 2 of our 10-minute segments that we had out, that just because of scheduling, the things that are happening right now, they didn't pan out. And so
that happens.
It happens. We bounce around on live TV. We make it work. And well, that brings us here. You have some good stuff for us here. The first story is the first one I mentioned off the top of the show.
Yeah, so a lot of people have been waiting for the verdict in the Diddy trial to be released. We found out today that the jury found Sean Diddy Combs guilty on 2 of 5 charges. He was acquitted of the most serious charges, as Manny mentioned just a bit ago. He was acquitted of racketeering and sex trafficking charges and the 2 lesser charges of transportation of former girlfriends for prostitution. Now, after the verdict, Diddy was reportedly seen kneeling and holding his hands together in kind of a prayer motion, if you will, as he looked toward the gallery. The verdict is seen as a victory in his eyes and for Combs' legal team. So I'm sure you're wondering, what's next? What comes after this? So he will have to be sentenced at some point. But before we get to that, the judge still has to decide if Diddy will be released pending that sentencing. The defense is asking for Diddy to be released today on a $1 million secured bond, subject conditions like ankle monitoring, restricting his travel to certain places like California, New York, Florida. And there is a bail hearing coming up at 5 p.m. So, I mean, all the press is still outside the courthouse waiting for that bail hearing to happen in less than an hour.
And that's probably why we haven't heard from the legal team quite yet. But I want to pause it here on this piece of video and a sketch from inside the courtroom. It's federal court, so cameras are not allowed inside. Marlisa, I'm not sure if you can see it, but I'll turn here a screen so you can see it. That's a sketch, Diddy looking back, presumably at his family that is sitting in the gallery. That's a fist pump, Marlisa. And we saw this sketch earlier, too, of him kneeling on the chair and basically, celebrating this verdict. Yes, guilty on 2 counts, but those are the 2 lesser counts.
Right.
And we do have sound from his former girlfriend's attorney. She did testify against him in this case. Here is what he had to say after the verdict was read.
The reaction is that we're pleased that he's finally been held responsible for 2 federal crimes, something that he's never faced in his life. He still faces substantial jail time. Of course, we would have liked to have seen a conviction on the sex crimes in RICO, but we understand beyond a reasonable doubt is a high standard, and we're just pleased that he still faces substantial jail time. Well,
so the arrest of Diddy came last September.
Yeah.
In my mind, when I was thinking about this story, I thought it was September of 2023.
That's what
it was
a lot
24.
of people have been saying. We haven't even reached that year mark yet, Manny, but there have been a lot that has come out over the past 9 months or so. And I just wanted to make note, since we just heard from the attorney of Cassie Ventura, again, that was one of his former girlfriends. She essentially paved the way for a lot of the court proceedings and charges to come against him because she was the first one to speak out. We know that she reached a settlement with him and she was awarded, I believe it was $20 million for the allegations she had against him then. But she kind of paved the way and opened up the opportunity for other victims, a lot of the Jane Does that we heard from, victims, former artists, to come forward and speak about, some of the criminal acts that he's been accused of over decades of a career.
And one of the counts of which he was convicted relates to his relationship with Cassie Ventura, and that being the transportation to engage in prostitution.
Correct. Yeah. She spoke in great detail about that. We just made mention that over the past several months, I've been in close contact with TMZ. They have been all over this. When this news broke earlier today, I was watching live coverage from their Instagram account. I mean, that newsroom was insane. We were scheduled to speak with them at 3:15, but we had to push that because of this bail hearing that's supposed to happen at 5 o'clock. So again, everyone is waiting to see what is going to happen. A lot of people making speculation that Diddy will be home. He'll be released today. I know that his family has been hanging around the courthouse waiting to see what will come of it.
Yeah, this is his mom walking
there
out.
She is right there.
This is not live. This is from earlier today. But they
And
ended up
that's
also
one of her
walking
daughters,
back
one of his
in.
daughters.
So
Yeah.
they have not said anything to reporters, and you saw that massive gaggle. Why don't we show you the live picture now? Still waiting.
Yeah, still waiting. But his family has been there. His kids have been very supportive throughout all of this. He has several kids that have shown up in court for most of the proceedings. I mean, his young daughters, he had high school age daughters. They were the only ones who weren't there for a lot of the detailed parts of the case. But his children have been very supportive, and most of his family as well.
So this next story, Marlisa, we just got some of those details just within the past half hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah, now this story, you all may remember, here's video.
I can play it in full, but
Okay.
yeah,
I can
why
talk
don't I
over
do that? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Shooting, man.
You'll hear some of the shots.
Wow.
Oh, that is shooting.
Yes, it is.
And then watch here in a moment. The camera will show a woman with a young child.
God.
Look at the fear in her eyes. And the confusion inside a gas station in New Smyrna Beach.
This was in broad daylight.
Mm-hmm.
So let me bring everyone up to speed here. This video that you're looking at was recorded back on March 8th of this year. This was inside of a gas station in New Smyrna Beach. This all happened during Bike Week. Hundreds, thousands of motorcyclists and motorcycle fans were out there during Bike Week, and a fight broke out, which led to a shooting. This is video of the altercation that happened with multiple bike members there. So this morning, what happened today, the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, they partnered with the FBI, Jacksonville, and Florida's 7th Judicial Circuit State Attorney's Office to arrest 28 people in connection to this shootout that happened in New Smyrna Beach back on March 8th during Bike Week between rival biker gangs. 28 of those members belong to Mongols motorcycle gang. The feds raided their clubhouse. We saw a picture posted on X by the Volusia County Sheriff's Office earlier today showing they had a huge SWAT truck that just pummeled their way through the clubhouse, which is in Volusia County. In addition to the arrest warrants, there have been arrest warrants issued for 3 additional gang members, and their arrests are pending. All of them, all 31 of those bike gang members, have been charged with aggravated rioting related to the gas station shooting that happened in New Smyrna Beach.
New Smyrna Beach detectives, the land, painstakingly went through every single frame of video, and they were able to identify 31 individuals that were responsible for that. As a result of that, we got 31 arrest warrants issued and 16 search warrants issued. The impetus behind all that was Chief Deputy Brian Henderson and Chief Deputy of the State Attorney's Office, John Reed. They sat down and they started to formulate, how do we proceed here? What kind of charges can we get? And they both agreed that the felony aggravated riot statute fit. And the state attorney and his brilliant staff, along with the FBI, began this painstaking journey to get to where we are today. So in our detective.
So 3.5 months to get to more than 24 arrests.
Oh, yeah.
That's some pretty good police work.
Yeah. They're making moves in that case for sure. Another case that we want to bring up, the Stephan Sterns trial. You all may remember Sterns was accused of killing and sexually abusing 13-year-old Madeline Soto. There she is there on the left, and Sterns is on the right. He was the boyfriend of Maddie's mother. So there was a pretrial hearing in the Sterns case this afternoon. He was not present in court. Only his attorneys were there. The judge denied a motion for continuance to keep the trial on schedule. The trial was supposed to begin in May, but it was delayed several times already. So the judge said that the jury trial will begin. It's set to begin on July 22nd at 9 a.m. before Judge Keith Karsten. So we have an official date of when this will begin. And again, a big case that attracted a lot of attention nationwide. It was a very interesting and unfortunate, such a sad case whenever you have children involved with sexual allegations and death as well. A very, very sad case, but you can count on Fox 35 to be on top of this following. We'll be in the courtroom every day until we reach a verdict.
And we have 2 cases against Sterns. You have this sex crimes case, and then you also have the murder trial slated for later in the year. But the sex crimes case already pushed back from when it was supposed to be in May.
All right, one more story.
Yeah,
now
let's
this
do it.
Why don't we
finish
take
on
it easy?
Yeah.
Finish on a light note. Okay, EPCOT Summer Concert Series for all of my theme park lovers out there.
Whoop, whoop.
The Eat to the Beat Concert Series lineup is officially here, my friends. You can catch the tunes at EPCOT Festival happening from August 28th through November 22nd. Mark your calendars. Take a look at this list here. There's a mix of returning favorites and brand new artists. We have people like Joey Fatone and Friends, Mercy Me, Toby Mac. I'm a huge fan of Toby Mac.
Fray.
He's been around. The Fray is on there. Sheila E. I mean, hello. Can it get any bigger than Sheila E? Hoobastank, Boys to Men, a little until the end of the road. Jordan Sparks, she's going to be a brand new guest. And the Beach Boys. Manny, I know you're probably not old enough to know any of the Beach Boys songs, but my goodness, this lineup is incredible.
Surfing USA.
Okay. You've been watching a little Full House back in the day.
And also had, oh man, T-Bird. We'll have fun. That's the name of the song. There we go.
Look at you.
So, yeah. So, David Archuleta also on that list. So a couple of
It's a good
American
lineup.
Idol,
I think it's a very eclectic lineup. It got a little bit of something for everybody out there. And speaking of artists, did you see that Yin Yang Twins were out at SeaWorld in California? Now,
Who?
the Yin Yang Twins. Okay. Let's just say the listeners of the Yin Yang Twins should not be children. So people were very surprised to see all the millennials. This was a moment for all the millennials out there. I know you're looking up Yin Yang Twins. You've heard a few of their songs back in the day. I can assure you that. But this just made me think of that. But similar to that, I know that there are going to be a lot of people out there from all different age ranges. Yeah.
Yeah. Get low.
We'll play
with Lil Jon. Yeah. Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
We'll have to have a little listening sesh after the show for you.
Learn.
Yeah.
Learn. All right. Thank you, Marlisa.
No
that has
problem,
been
Manny.
our top 4 at 4. Marlisa, she will now be getting ready to anchor the 5 o'clock news with Luann Sorrell. In the meantime, we are getting ready for some more Fox 35 News Plus on this Wednesday afternoon. Stick around. We'll be right back. Back. Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus on this Wednesday afternoon. Manny Martinez here with you as we will now turn to get our weather update from Fox 35 Storm Team Meteorologist Laurel Blanchard. I'll go ahead and hit the button right here. Laurel, how are you doing today, Laurel?
I'm doing well, Manny. Happy to have you on the CTV Live.
Thank you. It has been a trial run this week, Garrett. Certainly makes it look a lot easier than what it is, but it's going pretty well, I'd say.
You're doing a great job.
We are looking at an impact day all the way to Friday.
Yeah, and that also impacts your 4th of July plans as well. Manny, if you step outside at the moment, we are seeing rounds of heavy rain across the region. I almost got caught in a downpour. I missed it by about maybe 30 seconds, but that's going to be the trend through the rest of the evening, through your Thursday into your Friday. And then we're also going to be keeping an eye on the possibility of that through the weekend as well. You can see some very dark and stormy clouds as we take a look over Port Canaveral at the moment. You can also see that wind starting to pick up, that camera ever so slightly shaking, and we're continuing to see some heavy downpours across the region. Here's our storm tracker radar. You can see especially along the Space Coast, Titusville, just offshore of Daytona Beach as well, seeing that heavy rain, also seeing some lightning strikes as well. Nothing severe out there quite yet, but things are a little on the stronger side by the Space Coast. We're also going to be seeing another round of rain continuing to make its way currently down the I-75 corridor. That's going to be making its way towards Orlando as we head through the next couple of hours. So more rain on the way, and then we're going to even see more of that as we take a look at the day tomorrow as well. So through the rest of the evening, expect some of those heavy downpours. Be careful on the roads. They are wet, they are slick, and with those downpours that are going to continue to make their way through the region, it's going to lead to some blinding conditions out there. So if you just be careful on the roads, especially during the morning and evening commutes as we head through the next couple of days. Here's Thursday, seeing a couple of very scattered showers for that morning commute. By lunch hour, seeing the majority of those showers in Gainesville and Ocala. That's going to continue to move eastward. Orlando, Daytona, Cocoa, Melbourne. You're going to be impacted tomorrow evening by those showers. And we're going to keep some of those showers and thunderstorms as well around through the overnight. So we're really just seeing that rain at all different points of the day across the region at different times. But really, it is going to be a lot of rain, but with the exception of a couple of dry spots. However, it is going to feel very muggy out there. Those temperatures not super high. We're a couple degrees below average, but still seeing those mild and very muggy conditions as you're headed out the door. So as you're headed out the door tomorrow morning, make sure you do have the whole 9 yards when it comes to rain gear. I'm talking the raincoat, I'm talking the umbrella as well. You are absolutely going to need it because that humidity is definitely going to be high over the next couple of days out there for sure. And as we take a look at the day tomorrow, seeing again that rain all throughout the day, highs only maxing out throughout the mid and upper 80s as we head through the next couple of days. But main threats, of course, are going to be those tropical downpours, seeing very vivid lightning in some areas, as well as keeping the possibility of some localized flooding because of that heavy rain. We're seeing multiple rounds a day with those showers, and that's going to be lasting a few days. So flooding definitely a concern, as well as the very low but very brief possibility of a brief tornado.
So,
and then Manny, go ahead.
So Laurel, I mean, these past couple of days, it's been fairly spotty in some of the showers that we've seen. I know last night where I was, it didn't rain a whole lot, but other people just a few miles down the road, it poured on them. More of the same spottiness, or is it more widespread coverage for these next couple of days? We're going to see some
more widespread coverage over the next couple of days. We're seeing those very scattered splash and dash showers through the rest of the evening, but it's really just going to be hit and miss. But if you do get caught in some of those showers, it is going to be pouring. You know the Luke Combs song, "When It Rains, It Pours"? Yes, that's exactly going to be the trend for the next couple of days. We're also going to be seeing all of that tropical moisture continuing to roll over the peninsula of Florida as we head through the next couple of days as well, because that's really what this is. It's just multiple waves of these tropical-like moisture over the next couple of days, and that's because we're watching an area of interest, seeing those tropical downpours continuing with that area of low pressure just off to the left right there, we're seeing the possibility of that maybe getting a little bit of circulation as it makes its way off Daytona coast. So we're going to continue to watch that. There is the possibility where it could become a tropical depression, but that's something that we're going to be watching very closely for the next couple of days. No matter if it does form into something tropical or not, we're going to be seeing much more of those tropical downpours as we head through the next couple of days. And really, it's going to be a good rain event for us for those areas that desperately need the rain. However, this is also a good reminder that we are in hurricane season, and it's a good reminder to top off your emergency kits and start prepping your house for as when we do start to get a little bit later on in the season. But what we're really watching is as we do take a look just north of Orlando, we see this stationary front, and that's just going to sit and stay with us all through the weekend, kind of just trapping a lot of moisture, making its way over the peninsula. And that's why we're just going to be seeing rounds and rounds of rain as this almost low pressure system just sits over us. And we're just going to be stuck in this very rainy pattern for quite a while. You possibly see that little bit of circulation as it makes its way back onto the Carolina coastline, but this is what we're going to be watching very carefully to see if there is some sort of tropical evaluation for the next couple of days as well. And the reason why is just because the ocean water is just so warm out there. That's a major factor when we call, especially when we're talking about the tropics.
All right, Laurel, thank you very much for this check of our weather. As a matter of fact, right when we're done here, take a look at this. That is a stormy afternoon in Orlando. The rain is here. Coming up here on Fox 35 News Plus, when we come back, we are speaking live with Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz about the letter that she and several other Democratic members of the U.S. House penned to the governor about Alligator Alcatraz. That is live. That is coming up in a flash. We'll be right back. Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus on this Wednesday afternoon. Manny Martinez in for Garrett Weimer. What we are looking at right now is a live look at the floor of the United States House of Representatives, where perhaps a vote may be imminent on the president's spending and tax bill. It passed the Senate yesterday, 51-50. The vice president cast the tie-breaking vote. And so we want to bring in Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. she penned a letter to the governor, which we will get to here in a moment, about alligator Alcatraz. But our main concern for today is the fact that you have such limited time here to do this interview with us, so we are thankful that you are here with us. But we're going to talk first about the spending bill and the $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. It's also spending, or it also cuts spending, I should say, on Medicaid and food stamps by adding some work requirements and tightening eligibility. Now, the bill, it was contentious even within the Republican Party. So now that it's back in the House, my question for you is, what kind of reaching out across the aisle are you doing in the hours before a vote, knowing that if 4 Republicans defect, that's the end?
Well, we are trying everything we can to get 4 brave Republicans to join all the Democrats in the House of Representatives to vote against this big, ugly bill, because it is a bill that will kick 17 million people in our country off of their health care. It also makes the largest cut to food assistance in American history, meaning that people all across your region in Central Florida are going to go hungry, are going to have trouble putting food on the table, including veterans and children and the disabled and the elderly. It blows a hole in the deficit of another $4 trillion. Republicans supposedly cared about the deficit spending. And it also raises the debt ceiling by $5 trillion, all so that Republicans in this bill can give more tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires. In what moral universe is it okay to kick 17 million people off their health care, force people to go hungry who can barely make ends meet, to give more tax breaks to the wealthiest, most fortunate Americans? Not in my moral universe.
And Republicans would respond to that by saying that some of those cuts are just in the name of getting rid of waste and fraud. Your response?
That's just not true. I mean, they're making $1 trillion in cuts to Medicaid healthcare assistance. There are, certainly we should go after waste, fraud, and abuse, but they are suggesting that the only people that they are taking off of Medicaid are people who are undocumented immigrants. Undocumented immigrants are already barred by law from getting access to Medicaid. So that's just not true. And the Independent Congressional Budget Office said that this bill removes 17 million people from their health care. And that is not only people who are the result of waste, fraud, and abuse. It's just not true.
All right, last question is a yes or no here on this topic. Do you think you get a vote tonight?
It's looking less and less likely. I think the Republicans are struggling to pass this bill because it's so terrible that they know the pain it's going to cause.
All right, and so moving on now to the reason we contact you in your office this morning is because we got notice of a letter that you, as well as 7 other Democrat members of the United States House here in Florida, have sent a letter to the governor about alligator Alcatraz. And I'll read a couple of passages from it. The first being, "We are seriously concerned about the future treatment of immigrants at this facility. It is also important that we uplift grave concerns over the environmental and tribal impacts of your decision." I'll skip ahead here to the last couple of lines, and that is, "We urge you being the governor, to immediately reverse course, halt construction activity, and fully withdraw the proposal to establish any detention facility at the Dade Collier site." So this letter was sent yesterday. It was dated July 1. That's the same day that the facility was supposed to open. What kind of contact communication with the governor and his office did you have in the 8 days of buildup of construction of this facility?
Well, unbelievably, the governor doesn't seem to care that we've spent 25 years spending hundreds of billions of dollars on Everglades restoration to restore the historic sheet flow of water, all the way up to, starting at the Central Florida region on down through the Everglades into South Florida and to Florida Bay, because we need to make sure that we restore the historic wetlands, the balance of flora and fauna, hundreds of billions of dollars that on this environmentally sensitive land that was abandoned. The plans for the airport that was originally planned were abandoned in the 70s because it was deemed too environmentally sensitive. And it is on top of that on sacred tribal lands. And then we're at the start of hurricane season, And these structures are going to blow away like matchsticks, endangering the people who are being housed in it, as well as the employees who are guarding them. This is a hundreds of millions of dollar state tax boondoggle that Ron DeSantis simply is willing to light on fire. It's unacceptable. It's inhumane. It's a waste of money, and it's environmentally dangerous.
Now, to the point of the money, the governor and the feds say that the state will be eligible to get some of that back, if not all of it back, in terms of a refund. They got this all done in 8 days. How does the speed of the construction change what you're able to do in response?
Manny, while the governor was at the press conference announcing the detention facility on this airstrip, they had a torrential downpour in which the facility flooded. I mean, rain started pouring through the tent flaps. I mean, in the first hours that this was constructed, it's obviously not secure, not safe, and it violates tribal, sacred tribal lands, no consultation with the Miccosukee tribe of Indians, and it upends by installing infrastructure like piping and water and sewage in the middle of the Everglades restoration projects. This is so wildly inappropriate, and the governor knows it, and he's wasting $450 million annually, which costs $150,000 per detainee, twice the national average for a cost to an ICE detainee. This is just a stunt. It's a dangerous one at that. And if they care about waste and fraud and abuse, they certainly aren't demonstrating it by wasting money on this boondoggle that will blow it away in an instant during a hurricane.
The governor and the feds, they would say that it's not a stunt, that they say it serves as a cost-effective deterrent, pointing out that undocumented immigrants, they won't end up there if they simply self-deport, their words. And DHS also says that there are legal services there, clergy 24/7, air conditioning, and laundry services. Yesterday at this hour, we had Orlando. Go ahead, sorry.
No one, and nothing is there. And we don't have ICE detainees who escape. That's not a thing. I mean, have you ever reported on an ICE detainee escaping from an ICE facility? That's not what the reason for this. This is a publicity stunt because the governor wants to demonstrate that he's the one that is really aggressively deporting the undocumented immigrants from our state. We have 1 million people who came here legally under TPS and humanitarian parole, Venezuelans and Haitians, that Donald Trump made undocumented overnight. People who came here because the countries that they came from, Venezuela and Haiti, are oppressive, dangerous narco states that they cannot return to. And he made them undocumented overnight. He unlawfully yanked that status away from them. So they're not committed to making sure that they can deport undocumented immigrants or to go after the worst of the worst criminals, as they said. They're snatching people off the streets like Venezuelans and Haitians just to be able to up their numbers. And these are people who came to this country simply to make a better way of life for themselves and their families.
And
that's outrageous.
Yesterday, when they toured that facility yesterday, they did stick to saying that it would be the worst of the worst that would end up there at the so-called alligator Alcatraz. So
the numbers don't bear out.
There are 7 other members that signed on to this letter that you sent to the governor, including from our area, Darren Soto and Maxwell Frost. We had Representative Frost on our air yesterday. He was blunt, Congresswoman. He called it, his words, an internment camp, Alligator Alcatraz. Would you go that far? Would you say internment camp in Ochapee, Florida?
Look at the primitive conditions that they are setting up in the middle of hurricane season. They're planning to house people in a tent in the middle of the Everglades. They are going to essentially undo much of the progress we've made over all these years in Everglades restoration. They're violating tribal sovereignty, and there's no chance that they're going to be able to create humane conditions here. This is a stunt. It is an outrageous and inhumane one at that, and it wastes taxpayer money. that, by the way, next year, the state of Florida is going to be facing a really difficult time balancing their budget. And the governor's willing to light $1 million on fire by spending taxpayer money that he probably won't get back most of from the federal government, just to, show off his, big bad self on undocumented immigrants. And it's insensitive, inhumane, and not his job.
Congresswoman, we are running tight on time. Last two questions here.
Sure.
Any response from the governor's office, and do you plan to visit?
We have not had a response yet from the governor's office, but we just sent the letter this morning. And yes, I do plan to visit the facility.
All right, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Democrat from South Florida. We appreciate you taking the time here to join us on Fox 35 News Plus.
Thank you so much, Manny.
We know it's a busy afternoon and evening for you. Thank you. We will continue on with Fox 35 News Plus right after. Thank you for joining us here on Fox Local and on YouTube for Fox 35 News Plus as we wait 20 minutes until the Fox 35 News at 5. And so right now, we are going to turn to Fox 35 reporter Esther Bauer. And that's because, Esther, you've been working on this story for the past couple of days, and that's the rescue of the Disney Dream daddy-daughter duo that went overboard. What's the latest that you have learned digging in with the Broward Sheriff's Office?
This is the lead agency looking into what happened, but at this point, they're not sharing many details on what happened. They're really trying to stop what they're calling misinformation and just condemnation on this family from taking over social media. From day one, there was speculation online and several comments that had gone out in the public of this father was allegedly taking photos with the child, holding them up by this deck and by the railing. The Broward Sheriff's Office is saying, I can 100% confirm the father was not taking photos with their child and was not holding their child up by the railing. So they are wanting to set the record straight that what this father did was put his own life in danger to save his 5-year-old daughter that fell off of this cruise ship. They both were saved, thankfully. You're looking at that Disney dream team saving the duo. But the father had to tread water for quite a bit of time until the cruise ship could turn around, launch the boat, and get to them. So right now, Broward Sheriff, we asked several times, well, can you tell us how this 5-year-old child was able to scale a wall and ultimately fall off of a cruise ship? They're saying this is active. We're not going to release any of those details. They are telling us Disney Cruise Lines is cooperating. They have footage from the deck where this happened, but they really just want to stop the family from being targeted in such a harsh way. The sheriff's spokesperson ultimately did share a statement that I'll read part of that with you. They said, while there doesn't appear to be anything suspicious, Broward Sheriff's Office detectives are investigating the circumstances that led up to the child falling overboard. This family is so blessed. It's great to be able to respond to good news rather than what could have been a tragic situation. So that is the latest. Investigation is ongoing, but really they're wanting this public outrage to stop.
And another lesson in just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's true.
It's always a good lesson and always one that we need a reminder on. But we were monitoring this situation as soon as it happened on Sunday, and those comments poured in immediately. There was immediate blame of, this was the parents' fault, and this is why you don't, try to hang out by decks. So it really happened quickly. We have not been able to personally speak with any of the people that were right there directly watching what happened. We spoke with passengers that saw this rescue boat going out and saving them, but a lot of the information that's out there is kind of heard it from someone else. They're reporting that. And so definitely getting down to the source. We don't know who this family is still. Their names are still not being shared by the sheriff's office, but we will continue to be checking in with Disney Cruise, with the sheriff's office for when they're going to release how this young child could have gone overboard.
Yeah, that was obviously still the biggest question here left to answer is how this all even happened in the first place, and we can cross something off the list that we know now. All right,
Right.
Esther, so go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and then the big question is we spoke with cruise sources who say, these cruise ships are safe and you have to try really hard to be able to go overboard on a cruise ship. But if you do have a child that was able to scale the wall, I think the bigger picture question that the cruise line, specifically Disney, because this happened on their ship, will be looking into is, do we need to look into some safety features, some safety changes just to prevent an absolute tragedy like this from happening?
And I know that when you did the story on Monday and we talked about it here, people were just so thankful that it didn't have, a sad outcome here, that there was good news and they were rescued. It's just one of those stories that I think sticks with people just because of the fact that it could have gone so much worse than it did, and we are glad it didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, the passengers we spoke with, they are really praising the father. It's really just the online social media sleuths that are trying to see, well, some accountability needs to be had and who's responsible for this. But the sheriff's office says we don't usually put information out when this investigation is extremely active. But they said they wanted to get this out there because they're really feeling for a struggling family where they believe the dad did do a heroic thing to put his own life in, total danger to try to save his daughter, and now is being, ridiculed by some as the one that caused his daughter to be in this situation. So
All
a
right,
lot to
Esther.
follow, but definitely capturing everyone's views and clicks, and people do want to know how this happened.
And I'm glad that you're putting this together here for us, for everybody that'll be tuning in here coming up in just a little bit. We will see you live on TV, right?
We'll see you soon.
All right, thank you, Esther. More Fox 35 News Plus is coming up after this. Welcome back. 11 minutes to 5 o'clock here on Fox 35 News Plus. Manny Martinez here with you to lead you into Fox 35 News at 5. If you were with us at 3 o'clock, you would have seen live along with us Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood, along with several other state and local officials, briefing reporters on more than 24 arrests after a biker gang shootout in New Smyrna Beach back in March. Now, the arrests have been 3.5 months in the making. We talked about this at the top of our show in the Top 4 at 4 with Marlisa. But right now, we want to play for you the comments, the opening comments that the sheriff made as he announced these takedowns.
On March the 6th, 11:30 a.m., the Mongols pull in. Clearly, they knew the warlocks were there, and they were going to attack them. And everybody you see here, within an hour of that shooting, joined forces to send a clear message that we are not going to tolerate violence, and in particular gang violence, not only in this community, but in the state of Florida. And joining me here is our state attorney, R.J. Larissa, FBI Jacksonville Special Agent in Charge, Jason Carley, New Smyrna Beach Police Chief, Chris Kirk, DeLand Police Chief, Jason Umberger, and our Attorney General, James Uthmeyer, is here as well. So the investigation begins immediately, and New Smyrna takes the lead, and we begin getting tons of video. Not only video from the racetrack, but video from people in their cars who videotaped everything. FBI and our detectives, New Smyrna Beach detectives, DeLand, painstakingly went through every single frame of video, and they were able to identify 31 individuals that were responsible for that. As a result of that, we got 31 arrest warrants issued and 16 search warrants issued. The impetus behind all that was Chief Deputy Brian Henderson and Chief Deputy of the State Attorney's Office, John Reed. They sat down and they started to formulate, how do we proceed here? What kind of charges can we get? And they both agreed that the felony aggravated riot statute fit. And the state attorney and his brilliant staff, along with the FBI, began this painstaking journey to get to where we are today. So we're talking the VCSO, DeLand, NSB, FBI, Homeland Security, DEA, and the FBI and the Richmond Police Department, and 9 sheriff's offices around the state this morning at 5 a.m. began executing those arrest warrants and those search warrants. Right now, as I speak to you, 28 people are in custody. We've recovered 30 handguns and 15 long guns. Clint Walker, who was the state rep, you would see when the video comes up, what they do is they see that the warlocks are there. There's a couple Mongols are there. You see them make some comments. It looks like they make some phone calls. They're sending text messages. And within 10 minutes, they leave their clubhouse in Edgewater, and they are at the NSB location, and they flood the area. They ring the warlocks, and then all hell breaks loose. Eventually, we're able to identify 7 people that are armed, 4 people who shot. 3 of those 4 people that shot were involved in a shooting last year in Titusville, where they surrounded a group of warlocks on US 1 and opened fire on them. Clint Walker was arrested that day. This morning, we were in Edgewater for Robert Manns, who was a shooter. We took over 20 firearms out of his house, and I can't tell you how much ammunition came out. And then I'm going to have to ask the AG for a favor on this one. I'm going to need a scholarship, if you can give me one, to Alligator Alcatraz. Port Orange resident Carlos Cardona Batista, who was arrested today and who was here in the country illegally. So I don't know if you can get us a scholarship for him, sir, but we would really appreciate that. One of the shocking things that came out of this, I think, was when you wonder why crime is the way it is and how people view things differently. At 7:53 this morning in Virginia, the FBI and Richmond PD lock up a Timothy Stevens on our arrest warrant, no bond. And a magistrate by the name of Barnett, his quote is, "I'm not bound by Florida law." At 10:22 a.m., locked up 7:53 a.m., 10:22 a.m., he walks free out of there. Now, I'll tell you, We're dealing with a lot of scumbags here, and I'm adding that magistrate to that list. Somebody that came into our community and destroyed it, and some magistrate in Virginia says this isn't serious enough. You guys go do something else to come and get him. So that's where we are right now, and I'll let everybody come up here and add in what they have to add in. I just have to tell you, I watched this thing, and I think the first day that it happened, I had no idea I'd be standing here 3.5 months later, surrounded by these folks, and telling you how hard they worked to make sure the message is sent forward. They lit the fuse, the Mongols, so everybody understands this. They lit the fuse. The federal government, state government, county government, and municipalities, it's game on now. It's game on, because there's going to be a treasure trove of evidence that's going to lead to more and more indictments and arrests and put all the motorcycle gangs on notice. If you come here and you show your ass, we're going to show ours. On March the
And that is the sheriff explaining how, right at the very end, there is going to be, his words, a treasure trove of evidence that may lead to more arrests and more charges. Now, of this shooting, the sheriff also gave us a look at how it happened in real time. This was our first time seeing some of this surveillance video, and he gave us almost a little bit of a play-by-play, and we will show you that part of the news conference here.
So what you got is you have the warlocks. Well, we went too fast. Can you back up? You'll have the warlocks come in, and they're parked up top here. They're in, you see the motorcycles, they're in the racetrack getting something to drink. Slow down, slow down, slow down. Slow down. All right, this white car here pulls in before anything else is. They're like Mongols in soft clothing. They see the warlocks, they make a phone call, and the clubhouse is only, what, 2 miles, 3 miles up the road? You'll see the Mongols start to come in droves now. And look at the clock. We started this at 11:20. In 13 minutes, you start to see all of these Mongols pulling in. Again, you have the warlocks up top here, and you see everybody huddled around this car. And what you're going to see is a pickup truck is going to pull in here in a little bit. It'll be on the bottom of the screen, and the state representative, Clint Walker, he's there with a couple other guys. He gets out, and it seems when he gets out of the car, that's when all hell breaks loose. So you're maybe looking at 8 to 10 to 12 warlocks. And as this thing starts to grow, you're looking at maybe 30 or 40 or more Mongols that are all coming up from the clubhouse. And they made a beeline up 95, probably going over 100 miles an hour to get up there. So you still see them pile in. There's their colors. They obviously know this was going to happen. Again, this happened last July in Titusville, where they surrounded a group of warlocks on US 1 and prevented them and blocked US 1, and then all hell broke loose. This is Clint Walker pulling up. He's driving the car. You see them get out. Nobody does anything until he walks over. What he's saying, we don't know, but shortly after he's there, all hell then begins to break loose. We're not showing some of the cell phone video where you could really see and you could really hear the gunshots, and you see people diving for cover, people running across 44, and here the beatdowns begin. And here's the guy's that guy's got a gun. So like I said, there's a total of 7 guns the detectives were able to identify, 4 shooters. And then obviously, game's over, everybody beats feet before the cops get there. But again, this is just one part of surveillance video. Surveillance inside of the store. There's cell phone video where you hear all the gunshots, you hear people screaming, you see people diving for cover. I mean, there's a family in an SUV, and this is today, there's your example of what happens when you're the state rep.
Do you know how many shots were fired that day?
So that is new information walking us through what it is that happened in New Smyrna Beach at the racetrack off State Road 44, just west of I-95 on a Saturday morning in March, and it has now led to more than 24 arrests. The sheriff says it could lead to a whole lot more for the Mongol outlaw motorcycle gang. All right, it is just about time for us to say sayonara here on Fox 35 News Plus, and so we want to remind you of the 2 stories that we have been monitoring all afternoon long. On the left side of your screen, that is the courthouse, in the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan. We are waiting on Diddy's team of attorneys to speak after he was convicted on 2 of the 5 federal counts he faced. He was acquitted of the 3 most serious charges. We do know, as Marlisa told us at the very top of this hour, that at 5 o'clock he does have a bail hearing. He does still face some prison time, but he could also be released on bail. His attorneys, they were asking for $1 million, if I'm not mistaken. On the right side of your screen, that is the live look at the U.S. House of Representatives. That is the floor. There is not much that is happening right now at this moment. And as you heard from Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she says it is not very likely that a vote, or it is looking less and less likely, were her words, that a vote would be coming on the spending bill sometime this afternoon. We do thank the Congresswoman for fitting us in. We know it was a busy time for her. We did send out some requests for some Republican congresspersons. We did not hear back. And we did have Congressman Mike Herodopoulos live on Good Day Orlando this morning. Fox 35 News at 5 is probably going to be a little behind because of soccer on our air. Till tomorrow.